Howdy folks, Bluesboyjag here, yet another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson. It's been a little while since I've done a 3-stringer. This is by request, by many requests actually. It's Day Tripper by the Beatles. So we are tuned to open E. E, B, and E. I'm using my 5th string, which is normally an A string, and the 4th string, which is normally a D, and the 3rd string, normally a G. Again, E, B, E. This song is a little tricky in a couple spots because you're jumping around the fretboard a little bit, but not too difficult. So, let's start out from the top. Starting out on that 3rd string, which is your E, and you're going to do a hammer on, and you're going to play that 2nd string open. So, use your 1st finger on the 3rd string and hammer to your 2nd finger, and then you play your 2nd string. I'm using my fingers, obviously. You can use a pick if you like. So the very beginning, play that 3rd string open, which is your E string, and you're going to fret on the 3rd fret and hammer with your 2nd finger to the 4th fret. And I'm using my fingers to pick that 2nd string open. The next thing we're going to do is use your 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 5th fret, and then your 1st finger 2 frets below that on the 3rd fret. So far we have, again, I'm using my fingers, but you can use a pick if you like, so you can watch these fingers. Using my thumb and 1st finger on this hand if you prefer to use your fingers. That's the 2nd string open, and then I'm using my 1st finger on that 1st string, 2nd fret. Then we go back to that 2nd string open. So this is a bit tricky, so you want to start out slow and get it nice and smooth, and then gradually ramp up your tempo to where you're playing along with the Beatles. Now, one word of advice, you probably already know this, but you should definitely be tapping your foot on this one, because this one is syncopated. What does that mean, Jag? Well, you're not always playing notes on the downbeat. So your foot needs to be playing the downbeat, or stomping the downbeat, I guess you'd say, to keep everything steady. So you don't end up speeding up, or you don't end up playing some of these notes in the wrong place, at the wrong beat. So when I play this song, I'm doing it a little bit slow for this lesson. This is what my foot's doing. Boom, ba-do-do-da-down, da-down, da-da-da-boom. And that's probably, I don't know, 30 or 40% slower than the actual song. So start out slow and then speed up. So let's take a look at the right hand here. Only using my thumb and 1st finger. it's really important to tap your foot when you're playing this song. Start out slow, like I said earlier, and keep your foot tapping. This is very syncopated, which means your hand is not necessarily playing the notes that your foot is tapping on the floor. In other words, it's kind of funky. So it's a little tricky at first. So make sure you have your foot tapping, and as long as you play the right parts on the guitar, eventually, if you're not quite used to how that feels, eventually everything will lock in together and you'll have a nice tempo. If you have some trouble doing this, what you want to do is start out slow and then speed up a little bit later. But make sure that foot is tapping, because your foot is the boss. Not your brain, not the hand that strums. Your foot is the boss. I think I'm going to do a lesson called Your Foot is the Boss. Because when you tap your foot dictates your whole body, right? It dictates how your hand interprets the beat, and how your brain interprets the beat, and how this hand interprets the beat, jumping around to the different chords and so forth. So your foot is the boss always. Well, 99.9% of the time. All right, enough ranting. So I'm going to do this real slow. You can't see my foot. I wish you could. One of these days, maybe I'll get a separate camera so you can see my foot and my hands. So here's the tempo. My foot's doing this. I'll see if I can stop it. Hopefully you can hear that. That's a little tricky to do, obviously, stomp your foot that hard, but that's so you can hear it. So use the front of your foot. You don't have to stomp it that hard, but definitely use your foot. Always, 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 always tap your foot. Sometimes I'll stop tapping my foot here and there for a couple of seconds in a song while something else happens. Maybe the drummer does a fill or something like that. But for the most part, I'm tapping my foot the whole time, either with my heel or the front of my foot. All right, so thumb and first finger on this hand, up close. I'm only using my thumb and first finger, so we take a look at this. So far it's only thumb. Now I'm using my first finger on that first string. All right, so some of y'all are probably saying, let's move on, Jag, come on, get going here. Well, the main thing you want to start out with is making sure you're on time, making sure you're using the proper fingers, and making sure your foot is tapping. That is absolutely always critical when you're playing any kind of instrument and any song at any tempo. So here we go, the regular tempo, about like this. This is drastically faster, but this is about the tempo of the record. So remember, I'm hammering that second string to the second fret, starting here on 3-5, and then that second string 0 to 2. Then the first string open. I'm using my thumb for that one. And then you're on the 5th fret with the first string, and then the 3rd fret with your first string. That's the second part. back to the main riff. Now, we're going to bar on the 2nd fret. This is going to be an A chord. There's your G chord. This is an A chord. Now, the way I like to do this is I've got one finger on each string. You don't have to do it this way for sure, but I like to do this. I've been doing this forever and ever and ever when I play a 3-string or 4-string cigar box guitar. So I've got my thumb on the big string, I've got my 1st finger on the 2nd string, and my 2nd finger on the 3rd string, on the dinky string. Now, this is kind of fast, and I'm doing a choke. Not quite sure if the band did this choke, which I guess would be George Harrison on the guitar. I'm not sure if they're doing this like I do it. What's happening here is every single strum I'm choking and then strumming immediately after, so it's real choppy, basically. And the way you get that is by choking the strings. And what I'm doing is plucking each string, all 3 strings at the same time. Now, you don't have to do that way if you don't want to. You can just do it. If you'd like to do that, that'll work too. I can hear on the recording it is sort of muffled, sort of muted. So that's how I do it. Then you go up to, that's the 2nd fret, by the way. Now you go up to the 5th fret and the 4th. I'm using my 3rd finger, but you can use whatever fingers you like. Then you go up here to the 9th fret, and then the 7th. Then you go back to the main riff. Now we slide up here to the 9th fret, do the same thing we did down here, and the 7th fret. Then we go back to the main riff. For the last part is a little bit tricky. I'm using my 1st finger on that 2nd string, 3rd fret, hammering to my 2nd finger on the 4th fret. And then I'm going to use my 1st finger on 1, 2. Now I'm sliding up to 1, 7, and then plucking 1, 5. So I'm using my thumb on that 2nd string, and I'm going to do a hammer on the 2nd string, 3rd fret to the 4th fret. So it's open 2nd string, 3rd fret, hammer to 4th, and then 1st string is going to be on 1, 1st finger is on 1, 2. Now you're going to slide all the way up from 1, 5 to 1, 7, and then go back and pluck 1, 5. I know I'm telling you lots of numbers and fingers and all sorts of stuff, but once you get the hang of it, it's really pretty easy. That's what he said. 2nd string, hammer with your 1st finger on 2, 3 to 2, 4, and then you play 1, 2. Then I'm going to slide all the way up to 1, 7 with my 3rd finger, and then I'm going to play 1, 5. That's probably the hardest part. After that, you're back to the beginning, and then it ends. does the chorus and all that, and you're done. So I hope you have fun with that. Be sure and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and check out my website, jagshouse.com, cigar box guitars. Just like this one for 20 years. Can you believe it? 20 years. No wonder I'm gray. We'll see you next time.